How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. It's Tuesday morning, and on today's show we're going to be talking about Chelsea because they finally announced the appointment of Enzo Maresca.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So, like I said, it's Tuesday morning and there's only one thing we're really going to be talking about today, and that is the appointment of Enzo Maresca, the new Chelsea manager. Of course, Kylian Mbappe was officially announced yesterday, but we spoke about that in yesterday's show and we all knew it was going to happen anyway. But yeah, listen, Chelsea have got their man, and it's going to be a strange one how he handles life at Chelsea, because some will say it's one of the most difficult jobs, because if you don't get it right, they don't give you time and you're out of the door. Some will say that Mauricio Pochettino should never have left. He'd finally started to turn the corner and he'd actually got them to finish in a very respectable place when you consider where they were throughout most of the season. As it transpires, with Manchester United winning the FA Cup, they actually don't get Europa League football and they're in the European Conference League, or whatever the hell that trophy's called. But look, I'm going to make this clear, all right? Because Chelsea have spent a ridiculous amount of money. Now, when you've spent that kind of money, you need instant results. There's no time to implement your ideas and gel and do all these type of things. You've got to go in and hit the ground running. And for me, if Chelsea do not challenge for the Premier League next season, then it's a failure of the first season for Enzo Maresca. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about that situation. You can't sit there and talk about clubs like Arsenal and the money that they spend and everything and what's deemed as right and wrong and we must challenge. And you've got a club here that spent over £1 billion in the last couple of years or so. And now it's like, okay, we'll give them time. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not saying that they're going to be at the level of where Arsenal and Man City are right now, but you've at least got to put the pressure on. You've at least got to challenge. Anything other than that, for me, is a failure. Minimum for Enzo Maresca is Champions League football. If Chelsea do not finish in the top four and get Champions League football next season, then that is a failure. If they do not win the Europa Conference League, whatever it's called, that is a failure. This is a competition that West Ham won. Chelsea are better than West Ham. This is a competition that Aston Villa should have won last season, but I feel that their legs are gone by the time they got round to the semi-final and everything, and they were, fighting for that Champions League spot in the top four and everything else, and they don't have a big squad and they're not able to rotate in the way that other clubs are, and I feel they just run out of legs. But they should have won it. Aston Villa should have won that last season. And, teams in the Premier League going into that competition should be getting all the way towards the final. And Chelsea, given the money they've spent, given the squad they've got, they have to be winning that. If they do not win that competition, then that is categorically failure. Simple as that. So what do we know about Enzo Maresca? Of course, everyone will talk that he's this Pep disciple, that, he's going to be the next Pep Guardiola. The only resemblance is that they're bald. That's about it. People are talking as though he was, working under Pep for years and years and years. Arteta worked for him longer than what Maresca has. Maresca was there for one season. He worked at Man City in the under-23s, but directly with Pep Guardiola, one season. Now, his first taste of management was actually at Parma, and he only lasted, 180 days? I think he got 4 wins before he was moved on. He's then got his opportunity at Leicester after his 1 year, at Man City. And I actually don't think that was a difficult job at Leicester, given Leicester, their structure, the players and everything else. I don't feel that was a difficult job to get Leicester back into the Premier League. You know, at one point they were absolutely coasting the championship. And then they had a dip and they nearly wobbled at the end. But he got them back to the promised land, which is what they wanted. I still find it strange that Leicester got relegated in the first place when you look at the players they had at their disposal. But he did what he was, brought in to do. And then he's got this opportunity at Chelsea. And it's going to be very difficult to turn down Chelsea when you're the Leicester manager. Let's be honest about it. But some will say it's the poison chalice. Some will say it's the impossible job. Some will say that how much of an influence will he actually have on the squad and players, new signings, etc. And even players that leave, because that seems to have been a major problem with Mauricio Pochettino. There's talk already that he really likes Robert Sanchez, for example, the goalkeeper. Me personally, I don't rate it. Apparently, he's this goalkeeper that can play out from the back. But from when I've watched him, he looks a shambles with his feet. But then there's already talk that the board and the hierarchy at Chelsea don't like him and willing to move him on. So could there be, a clash already? He's a possession-based manager. And what Chelsea are basically doing is trying to model themselves on Man City and Arsenal. Let's be honest about it. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Chelsea are like that school child who copies everybody's homework, that's sitting there and is like, let me have a look. And he doesn't try to make it, discreet that they're copying. They make it so obvious. You only have to look at a load of Arsenal signings a year or so ago, or the players that Arsenal were linked with, and then all of a sudden Chelsea came along. It was as though they were looking and going, Arsenal are after him. Well, he must be good. Okay, well, we'll go and sign him then. And that's exactly what happened with Mudryk. Arsenal were the front runners for so long, and then Chelsea came in and went, we'll have him. Arsenal must want him. So, yeah, he must be amazing. And apparently they were trying to get Declan Rice as well. And there's loads of other examples. But that's what basically Chelsea are doing. They're copying Arsenal and Man City's homework. But time will tell whatever happens with him. I honestly don't think he's going to be a success at Chelsea because of the people in charge. I don't feel that they have that patience in the way that Arsenal did with Arteta. I don't feel that the fans have the patience. Right now, they're like, oh, yeah, great. We got rid of Pochettino. Let's just bring him in for the sake of it. Yeah, we're going to back him. And then, a few bad results. And then they will turn just like that. Because that's what Chelsea fans do. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what happens. I wish him all the best, apart from when he plays against Arsenal, obviously. But, yeah, I think the jury's out on this one. It's a big risk, but listen, Arsenal took the risk with Arteta, and the only thing missing right now are the trophies. We're challenging, we're doing exactly what we need to do, and the fact that everybody's copying our model along with Man City says how much we're progressing. But like I said, I think the jury's out on this one. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. Will he get to have an influence on transfers? Will he get overruled with certain players that leave and, are brought into the club? Will he be able to implement his ideas and the possession-based? And it needs a lot of discipline. And when you look at last season and some of the problems at Chelsea, there didn't seem to be discipline. And this is one of the issues with some young players as well, is that, you lack a little bit of discipline. You see the whole situations over the penalties and things like that and the arguments, and I just don't know whether they've got that within them. But time will tell, like we said. Could prove me wrong, could make me eat my words. We don't know. But, for me, it's an interesting one. So Chelsea fans, let me know what you think. Are you happy with the appointment? Was this, as Chelsea say, their first choice appointment all along? Because for me, I feel that De Zerbi or even McKenna at Ipswich were more in the frame and more their first choice. And then I feel that they may have well settled for Maresca when that wasn't, going to plan. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting one. So that is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.